Battlefield 2 Modern Combat was an online military-style shooter that received generally good reviews, but looking back was severely underrated and neglected. Its release on Xbox and PlayStation 2 in late 2005 put it in an arena alongside with Call of Duty 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and SOCOM 3. This was also in the height of popularity of Halo 2. Sometimes it can be hard to look back on what it was like in 2005 with the pixely graphics, basic movement mechanics, and less immersive sound design, but in this video series I want to try and do just that as we remember the forgotten gem that was Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. Before we dive in, I just want to say a thank you to JMMReview for supplying all the footage in these videos, as there is very little surviving footage of this game today and he very generously supplied it to me. He has also been very influential in bringing this game back into the conversation. If you're an old fan of the game and would like to join our Discord, please click the link in the description of this video. So how can we begin to remember a 15-year-old game that is both lost to time and currently inaccessible? The sad truth is, unlike the previously mentioned titles which live on still in conversations, YouTube videos, or in reverse compatible forms, Battlefield 2 is effectively dead. The Xbox servers were shut down in April of 2010, and the PS2 servers were shut down in June of 2014. The game is no longer playable and the community is completely scattered. While the game does have a replayable campaign, which to me is nostalgic and entertaining, the lifeblood of this game was in the online form. This was in a time when matchmaking and online lobbies were still in its infant form, but Battlefield 2's online matches were to this day my favorite experience in any first-person shooter. And I grew up on the Halo series. I'd call myself a Battlefield superfan, having played endless hours on Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and even going premium on Battlefield 1, which I still play and love to this day. All that to say, I've spent a lot of time playing online shooters, namely Battlefield. So for me to say one game's online experience is my favorite is not coming from a place of nostalgia because we can't play it anymore, it's coming from a place of personal experience. This experience was built upon some very important aspects. The weapons were very balanced and everyone had access to the same weapons as their opponent. Unlike the majority of modern shooters where someone may have unlocked a better gun or found a better weapon on the map, everyone had the same gun and full access to all the weapons and gadgets of each class. That's because every class had an unchanging kit of weapons and gadgets. While having unlockables and different variations of a class does have its advantages, the balance of classes in Battlefield 2 is unlike anything I had played before or since. Simply put, no one had an advantage over you because of their gear. It all came down to skill and situational awareness. Sound nice? Yeah, I know it was. The maps were also really well developed. I mean, they were really nice. They were balanced and no one side really had a significant advantage over another, and there really was no map I ever wanted to skip. This doesn't mean maps were symmetrical. In fact, there were some that had some very difficult and unique map designs. While there were some community favorites such as Backstab, Deadly Pass, and Bridge Too Far, each map got its moment in the sun. Unlike the set map rotations and targeted voting options of today, where people just leave the lobby and join a map they want to play in, Battlefield 2 had a very elementary but effective map system. At the end of a match, a vote screen popped up with every map in the game open to vote. Whichever map received the most votes would be the next map. Pretty simple. This often led everyone on the team strategizing for the vote for the next game. Hey, do you want to play Special Op? No, I want to do Black Gold. Okay, we'll do Black Gold, then Special Op. Okay, sounds good. And people would vote for that map. Yes, there were lobbies when you would play Backstab over and over and over again, but you know what? I'm the kind of gamer where I'm down to play Karg Island 1,000 tickets 24/7. Like, that just sounds fun to me. So even playing Backstab over and over again, while not ideal, was still really fun to me. And this community was a very close and tightly knit group of people. Because the games were 12 on 12, the chat system was set up so you could talk to everyone on your team, not just your squad. This meant calling out enemy positions, discussing map votes, as I said before, and there was also a proximity chat feature which allowed you to speak to enemies as you're getting close enough to them. I often would actually hold my breath when sneaking up on an enemy so I didn't accidentally breathe into the mic and give away my position. It led to some pretty intense Battlefield moments. And in the final years of playing online, if you played the game at all, you probably knew half the players in your lobby. So we got to know each other pretty well. It also meant that you were probably playing against the best players in the game, as most of the people in the top 10 positions on the leaderboard were very active and often in your lobby. In fact, when I was a young junior hire, one of the top 5 ranked helicopter pilots spent a couple of hours teaching me how to fly the helo and do helicopter stunts, and it kind of formed a friendship between me and him, and we spent a lot of time playing together. And that was something that really stuck out to me. It meant so much that one of the best helicopter pilots in the game spent a significant amount of time with that high-pitched, annoying kid in the lobby and showed me the ropes. I just don't see that much anymore in video games, in fact, quite the opposite. But it was moments like these that helped shape my view of the game, and to that note, the legacy of Battlefield 2 holds true in the minds of those who played any significant amount of time on it. We can see how this game helped shape the climate of the competitive first-person shooter genre. However, you can't remember Battlefield 2 Modern Combat without remembering how it died. The truth of the matter is, in the backlash of gamers who saw their favorite titles die in 2010, Battlefield 2 was simply in the shadow of great games like Halo 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and alike. By that time, the community was still as dedicated as ever, but it was dwindling in size, and it was for this very reason that the games were ultimately shut down. EA itself left Battlefield 2 Modern Combat out of its Battlefield 5 review video where they showed a bunch of footage from every Battlefield title up until then, except Modern Combat. I believe this is intentional. I believe they want us to forget about this title. EA left a terrible taste in our mouths following the shutting down of these servers, and it was not something we forgot. I personally never bought the Bad Company games, which were released after Modern Combat, simply because I was so angry at EA. And they were fantastic games. And it took the hard convincing of some of my friends to finally buy Battlefield 3, and I'm so glad that they did because it was and still is a great game. EA wanted to move its customers off the older system and onto the newer ones with newer games. And while I can understand this as a business move, it didn't help the reputation and it ultimately killed a community that was alive and well. But it didn't kill their business. Despite countless episodes of significant backlash from their customers over the years, EA is still selling tens of millions of games every year, raking in cash for microtransactions on mobile games and skins on console games. Why would EA want us to remember a time when the quality of the game meant its success? They have shown that you can sell a half-completed game at full cost, keeping it financially viable despite game-breaking glitches with microtransactions and DLC. I'm not even going to mention the loot box controversy. Well, I guess I did. Okay. It's really easy to join the bandwagon hate on EA as a whole. And really the only reason why I even mention that in this video is simply to contextualize today's gaming climate and how it's so vastly different than the one that received Modern Combat. Though outdated, I think the modern gamer would be pleasantly surprised with how much they enjoy a game like Modern Combat that doesn't sell itself based on hype, skins, or DLC, but it sells itself on balanced competitive gameplay. Battlefield 2 had its issues, like any other game. It had its glitches and quirks like damaging a tank by running into a wooden post. Yeah, that was a thing. But despite its fallbacks, it still remains my favorite all-time video game, as it does in the hearts of many of the dedicated fans that were scattered following its shutdown. So the question that I and these fans that were scattered after its shutdown have is, where's our remake? Where's our reverse compatibility? At the very least, where is the credit due to this game in the history of the modern shooter? It feels completely left out, and it was so influential. Following its shutdown, many of us felt betrayed by the company that brought us this gem. We paid for the title, and for those of us on Xbox, we paid for Xbox Live, so we simply felt taken advantage of. But I don't want to just join the ranks of hating EA. There's plenty of people out there that are just posting videos about how much they hate EA. That's not what this is about. To be honest, I want to be on their side, and I want them to be on our side. In this life, it's so much better to work together than to hate and just spout off about how much they hate somebody or something. And without EA, we don't have the distribution of these great titles. That's just the truth. So if you're like me and you want to see this game back into the spotlight and maybe even back online and in people's homes, then please join the conversation. Help us remember Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. We want to connect with old friends, remember our Battlefield moments, and simply preserve this classic game. And if anyone from EA or DICE is miraculously seeing this video, we know you're people too. You make decisions on what you believe is best for the company, and we totally understand that. But a game is not worth killing because it's old. That's like saying classic cars aren't worth keeping because they're old. A game's inherent goodness certainly outlives its age, and Battlefield 2 Modern Combat is a great game. So we want to see this community reborn again. We want to see this game live on, and yeah, we want to play it again. Until that day happens, if it ever happens, we will continue to remember Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. If you enjoyed this video, and way more importantly, if you enjoyed Battlefield 2, please join our Discord in the link below to share your Battlefield memories, and you can do so in the comments below as well. Stay tuned for more Battlefield 2 videos, or hop over to JMMReview for a more comprehensive coverage of the game and some great gameplay footage. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I'm TweenSwag. Please feel free to add me on Xbox Live. Love to game with you. See you next time.
Our flag has been returned.